I consider this disloyal, Miranda said, her voice cold as stone, as she stared at me from behind her sleek glass desk. After everything Clearwater Strategy Group has done for you. I sat across from her in the corner office on the 19th floor, gripping my handbag tightly to keep my hands from trembling. The initial shock of being summoned at 9 a.m. on a Thursday had faded, replaced by a heavy pit in my stomach. I knew what was happening. Miranda, She cut me off, her manicured finger tapping on a printed email. Don't bother denying it. I have confirmation you interviewed with Hudson and Rowe last Friday. You took a half day, citing a family emergency, I believe. My name is Rachel Monroe. I'm 42 years old and have spent the last 8 years of my life working for Clearwater Strategy Group in Charlotte, North Carolina. In that time, I built our regional client portfolio from scratch, doubled our annual revenue, and became the go-to strategist for our highest profile accounts. But none of that mattered now. Security will meet you at your desk. You may gather your personal items. Your building access has already been revoked, Miranda said, her tone devoid of emotion. She slid my company badge across the desk like it was a final judgment. Your email account has also been terminated. The injustice of it seared through me. For 3 years, I'd come into this very office with detailed reports, competitive salary data, and performance results that should have justified a raise. For 3 years, I was told, it's a tight year. And every time, those same quarters ended with Miranda announcing record growth. I stood, straightening the cuffs of my blazer. I understand. Miranda looked almost surprised by my calm. Maybe she had expected pleading or tears. Instead, I reached across the desk with a steady hand. I wish you and Clearwater continued success. She blinked, taken aback, before giving me a brief handshake. A security guard appeared as I walked to my desk, watching awkwardly while I packed my framed photos and well-watered desk plants into a single cardboard box. My coworkers looked over with a mix of confusion and quiet sympathy, but I gave them a reassuring smile. No meltdown. No dramatic exit. Just dignity. As I stepped into the April sunlight outside the building, the air felt different, lighter. Miranda thought she had stripped me of something. She had no idea. My phone buzzed just as I loaded the box into my trunk. A message from Nathan Hale, CEO of Hudson and Rowe. Can we move our final discussion to today at 2 p.m.? I smiled. She had no idea what was coming. It's strange how 8 years of loyalty can be reduced to a single box. Driving away from Clearwater, I thought about how it all began. I had joined fresh out of grad school, full of optimism, armed with a communications degree and a hunger to prove myself. I started at the bottom, setting up meeting rooms, taking notes, running errands. But I stayed late, volunteered for high-pressure projects, and earned the trust of clients others had given up on. By my 4th year, I was managing Hudson and Rowe, our largest account, nearly 30% of Clearwater's revenue. Nathan Hale had personally requested me after I saved a campaign that was spiraling. You're the only one who understands what we need before we even ask, he once told me. That moment was supposed to be my turning point. It should have been the time my dedication was recognized. But even after that, my raise requests were met with vague promises and canned apologies. The last time, I walked out of Miranda's office and knew I couldn't wait around any longer. That's when I dusted off my resume for the first time in 8 years. Not out of anger. Out of self-respect. And as I drove toward my 2 p.m. meeting at Hudson and Rowe, I wasn't bitter. Client manager after I had stepped in during a campaign crisis, when their previous representative completely fumbled a major product launch. Nathan Hale, Hudson and Rowe's CEO, told me afterward, "You're the only one who seems to understand what we need before we even ask." From that point on, the relationship between our firms thrived. Hudson and Rowe extended their contract, doubled their marketing budget, and even featured our work in a national press release. Miranda had been thrilled at the time. "This is the kind of initiative we value," she had said in front of the executive team. But value apparently didn't mean compensation. I submitted my first formal raise request just after that success. I was armed with hard numbers, growth percentages, client testimonials, and campaign performance metrics that clearly justified a salary adjustment. Miranda's response came with a rehearsed frown and a sympathetic tone. "It's just not in the budget this year, Rachel. But your contribution is absolutely noted." I swallowed the disappointment. The economy had been uncertain, and I still believed in playing the long game. I was building something: relationships, credibility, a track record. I told myself that good work always got rewarded eventually. The following year, I brought in 3 major new clients, personally led a record-breaking campaign, and was honored with an industry award in Dallas for strategic marketing excellence. That was when I made my second request. This time, I even offered to take on added responsibilities in exchange. Miranda's answer didn't change. "Next year will be better," she promised. "We just need to tighten our belts a little longer." Meanwhile, she arrived to work in a new luxury SUV, and the company proudly announced the leasing of another floor in our building due to exceptional growth. I kept working, kept believing that maybe next time would be different. Maybe someone was finally taking notice. But the third rejection came 6 months ago, right after I had negotiated a 40% increase in Hudson and Rowe's annual contract. The client had even sent a glowing email about my efforts. Miranda called me in and said, "Your performance is exceptional, Rachel. But we're investing in infrastructure this year. Perhaps we can revisit this in the summer." That day, something inside me shifted. There was no outburst, no tears. But that night, I opened my laptop and updated my resume for the first time in 6 years. Not because I was angry, not because I wanted revenge, but because I finally realized I was worth more than empty promises and unspoken expectations. What I didn't expect was that Miranda would somehow discover my job search before I could submit my notice. At home, I placed the cardboard box, my entire professional life in a 12 by 12 square, on the kitchen counter and stared at it. The weight of it all hit me. I wasn't just running errands or in between calls. I was unemployed. I sat down at the kitchen stool and struggled to take a full breath. Then my phone rang. It was Olivia, my best friend. "I just heard," she said as soon as I answered. "Thomas texted me. Are you okay?" Thomas was Clearwater's IT manager and Olivia's boyfriend. Gossip moved fast in that office. "I'm processing," I admitted. "It happened so fast. This is completely unfair," she said, her voice rising. "Everyone knows you're the only reason Hudson and Rowe stuck with Clearwater this long. Miranda just couldn't handle that you were better at the job than she ever was." I paused, then let out a breath. There was some truth to that. Before becoming director, Miranda had been Clearwater's golden account executive. Many of us suspected she missed the praise and client spotlight. She'd often force herself into my meetings with Hudson and Rowe, even when it wasn't necessary. "But it's not just that she fired me," I said, my voice tight with emotion. "It's how she did it. Like I'd committed some kind of corporate betrayal just for trying to move forward after 3 years of being stalled." "She made a mistake," Olivia said firmly. "Honestly, Rachel, maybe this is the best thing that could have happened. You've been undervalued for too long." She was right. I hadn't stayed at Clearwater because it was the best move for my career. I stayed out of loyalty to my clients, to my team. But that loyalty had never been returned. I had stayed at Clearwater out of loyalty to my clients, to my colleagues, not because it was the smartest choice for my career. But being fired like that, marched out by security as if I'd committed some kind of corporate crime, that stung deeply. As I sat quietly at my kitchen counter, my phone lit up with a new call. Nathan Hale. Olivia saw the name flash on the screen and gave a small nod. "It's Hudson and Rowe. Take it. Call me after," she said gently before hanging up. I took a breath and answered. "Rachel, I just heard what happened at Clearwater," Nathan said, getting straight to the point. "Are you available this afternoon? I'd like to move our conversation up." My heart skipped. "Yes, I can be there at 2 p.m. as you suggested." Perfect, he said. And Rachel, don't let what happened this morning shake you. Sometimes these moments are exactly what push us where we're meant to be. After the call ended, I looked at myself in the kitchen window, my reflection clear against the spring light. The woman staring back wasn't broken. She was being set free. I showered and pulled out my best navy suit, the one I used for high-stakes pitches and major presentations. As I carefully applied makeup and clipped back my hair, a strange sense of calm settled in my chest. Miranda thought she'd humiliated me, but what she'd really done was give me clarity. I had given Clearwater everything: late nights, endless strategy decks, client wins, and creative energy that couldn't be taught. And in return, I'd been overlooked, dismissed, and ultimately discarded. Whatever came next, I would never again give my best to people who refused to see my value. It was time to reclaim my worth. Hudson and Rowe's headquarters sat atop a shining office tower in the heart of downtown Charlotte, taking up the uppermost 3 floors. It was sleek and modern, a far cry from Clearwater's aging beige cubicles and outdated carpet. Hudson and Rowe had open spaces, creative pods, walls of glass, and light that poured in from every direction. As I rode the elevator to the 31st floor, I mentally practiced how I'd explain my sudden availability without sounding bitter. Even when the truth is on your side, professionalism matters. When the elevator doors opened, Nathan Hale was standing there, waiting with a warm smile. "Rachel," he said, offering his hand. "Thanks for coming on such short notice." Nathan was in his early 50s, sharp yet approachable, with salt and pepper hair and the calm demeanor of someone who had weathered many storms. He was known for his integrity, and over the last 3 years of working together, I'd come to appreciate that more than anything. "Of course. I appreciate the invitation," I replied, shaking his hand. "It's been an unexpected morning." "Let's talk in my office," he said, leading me past a few familiar faces who nodded as I walked by. His office was nothing like Miranda's imposing space. It wasn't about status. It was designed for conversation, with comfortable chairs, fresh flowers, and framed client success stories on the walls. "Coffee?" he asked. "Yes, please." As we sat down with steaming mugs, Nathan got straight to it. "Miranda called me this morning," he said. "She told me you would no longer be managing our account and that she would be personally taking over until they found a replacement." I kept my expression neutral, though I felt my jaw tighten. Of course, Miranda would try to salvage the relationship by inserting herself. "But what she doesn't know," Nathan continued, "is that we were already evaluating our relationship with Clearwater." I blinked. "You were?" "Yes," he said. "While your recent campaign exceeded projections by 23%, we've seen growing issues, delays, inconsistent quality when it isn't you, and an overall sense that our business isn't being prioritized." "The results were excellent," Nathan agreed, "because of your work. But we've noticed a pattern at Clearwater this past year: delays in communication, inconsistent quality from other team members, and frankly, a growing sense that they're taking our business for granted." He set his coffee mug down and leaned forward. 3 months ago, our board recommended we start evaluating new agency partners. I held off because of you. You've consistently demonstrated an understanding of our business that goes far beyond the standard client-vendor relationship. My heart began to race. Was he saying what I thought he was saying? "When you reached out a few weeks ago about potential opportunities here," he continued, "the timing couldn't have been more appropriate. But I want to be clear, this wasn't about poaching. We respect professional boundaries." He looked me squarely in the eye. "We were prepared to wait until you gave notice at Clearwater." I nodded. That was my plan. I just hadn't submitted anything yet. I wanted a formal offer in hand first. Nathan smiled. "And I believe you. That level of professionalism is part of why we're sitting here now." Miranda's decision this morning just moved things up. He reached for a folder on his desk and opened it, then slid a document across to me. "This isn't an interview, Rachel. It's a job offer." I blinked, startled. He continued, Director of Client Strategy. You'd lead a new team overseeing all external marketing relationships and partner accounts. I glanced down at the offer letter and froze when I saw the salary figure. It was nearly double what I'd made at Clearwater. Higher than anything I'd dared to request during those years of denied reviews. This is incredibly generous, I said quietly. Nathan shook his head. It's standard for someone with your experience and results. Sometimes it takes leaving a situation to realize what you should have been earning all along. That evening, the signed offer letter sat neatly on my kitchen table, ready to be returned the next morning. I'd asked for the night to think it over out of respect, but we both knew my answer was already yes. Still, I believed in taking a pause before life-changing decisions, even when the answer was obvious. My phone buzzed repeatedly that afternoon with texts from old coworkers at Clearwater. Word of my firing had spread fast, followed by whispers about my meeting with Hudson and Rowe. I responded to a few close friends, but ignored the flood of speculation. One text caught my eye: Thomas, Clearwater's IT manager and Olivia's boyfriend. Miranda just held a company-wide emergency meeting. She told everyone you were fired for disloyalty and that Clearwater values loyalty above all else. People were stunned. The irony was suffocating. I shook my head. Miranda was trying to make an example out of me. But based on what I was hearing, her tactics were backfiring. Another message popped up, this one from Jenna, our receptionist. She's been locked in her office for hours, on the phone nonstop. Looks stressed. Guess someone's nervous about Hudson and Rowe. I didn't reply. I felt no need to gloat. No desire to see Miranda struggle. Only a renewed sense of peace that I had made the right decision. A company that demanded loyalty but never returned it? That wasn't my home anymore. Just then, my phone rang, an unknown number. Curious, I answered. Rachel Monroe? A firm voice asked. Yes, speaking. This is Elaine Winters, chair of Clearwater's board of directors. I understand there was an incident today regarding your employment. I'm on the board at Clearwater Strategy Group, Elaine said calmly. My stomach tightened. Board members didn't usually get involved in employee matters unless something serious had happened behind the scenes. I understand there was an incident today regarding your employment, she continued. I'd like to meet with you tomorrow to discuss it. It's possible Miranda acted hastily. So that was it. Miranda had fired one of Clearwater's most valuable account managers without board oversight, just as Hudson and Rowe was reevaluating the entire partnership. Now the board was scrambling to manage the fallout. I appreciate the call, Ms. Winters, I replied, keeping my tone respectful but firm. But I've already accepted another position. A pause. May I ask where? I don't think it would be appropriate to share that at this time. Another longer silence. Then, Rachel, if this is about compensation, I'm confident we can revisit those conversations. The board values your contribution. The irony almost made me laugh. After 3 years of documented performance reviews, repeated requests for salary adjustment, and polite dismissals, it was suddenly about value? It's not just about compensation, I said honestly. It's about respect. About recognizing someone's worth before they start looking elsewhere. Perhaps we could discuss this in person, she pressed gently. Tomorrow morning? I considered it. I had no interest in returning to Clearwater, but something about this felt like a final chapter. A chance to say what needed to be said. I can meet at 9 a.m., I agreed. But just to be clear, I've signed an employment contract elsewhere. I'm not coming to negotiate a return. Understood, she replied, though I could tell from her tone she didn't fully believe me. We'll see you then. After we hung up, I poured myself a glass of wine and stepped onto the balcony of my apartment. The spring evening was cool and still, with city lights flickering across Charlotte's skyline. Tomorrow would bring a conversation I hadn't planned to have, but maybe it was necessary, for closure, for integrity, and for the people I left behind. A buzz from my phone caught my attention. An email from Nathan Hale. Subject line, "Welcome to the team." Whatever tomorrow held, I knew one thing for certain: I wasn't going back. The next morning, walking into Clearwater's reception area as a visitor felt surreal. Jenna, the front desk receptionist, looked surprised when she saw me. Her professional smile softened into something more sincere. "Rachel, you're here for the meeting with Ms. Winters?" "That's right," I said, signing the visitor log. "Another surreal moment," she added, lowering her voice. "For what it's worth, everyone's been saying how wrong this was. You were the best of us." Her words warmed something in me. "Thank you, Jenna." The elevator ride gave me a quiet moment to breathe and prepare. I wore a sharp navy suit, not to impress, but to remind myself that I was entering that conference room as an equal. Not a terminated employee. Not someone seeking redemption. A professional with dignity intact. Elaine Winters was already seated when I arrived. A slim folder rested on the table in front of her. She stood to shake my hand. Her silver hair was styled into a neat bob, and her posture radiated calm authority, the kind of person who made million-dollar decisions before breakfast. "Ms. Monroe, thank you for coming," she said. "Please have a seat." "I expected Miranda to be here," I said, glancing at the second chair. "This is a private conversation," Elaine replied, closing the door behind me. She opened the folder. "I've reviewed your personnel file. 8 years of outstanding performance, Rachel. Consistent growth in your accounts. And 3 documented requests for salary adjustments, each denied. Consistent performance reviews, steady portfolio growth, and 3 formal salary adjustment requests, all denied," Elaine read aloud, glancing up at me. "I wasn't aware of this pattern," she added. "That surprised me. I assumed compensation decisions were reviewed at the board level." "For significant changes, yes," she said. "But management has discretion within established parameters." Her tone remained calm, but I could hear the undercurrent of disapproval. It was clear Miranda had operated with more independence than was probably wise. "What I don't see," Elaine continued, flipping a page, "is any documentation that justifies your termination yesterday. We have no company policy prohibiting employees from exploring outside opportunities." I kept my response steady. The word used was disloyal. Elaine raised an eyebrow. Interesting choice, given the circumstances. She closed the folder. "Ms. Monroe," she said, meeting my eyes. "I'll be direct. The board would like to offer you reinstatement at the salary level you last requested, plus a 10% increase, and with the title of Senior Account Director." The offer was better than anything Miranda had ever entertained. But it was 3 years and 1 public humiliation too late. "That's a generous offer," I acknowledged. "But as I mentioned on the phone, I've already accepted another position with Hudson and Rowe," Elaine said, not asking but stating. I didn't confirm or deny. Professional boundaries still mattered. "My new role begins Monday." Elaine studied me for a moment. "Miranda is concerned that Hudson and Rowe may reconsider their relationship with Clearwater, given your departure." And there was the real reason for this meeting. It wasn't about my treatment. It was about the threat of losing a major account. "That's a question for Hudson and Rowe," I said evenly. "Indeed," she nodded, apparently satisfied with my discretion. She paused. "One final question, if I may. What could Clearwater have done differently to retain you?" The question caught me off guard, but in a good way. It wasn't defensive. It sounded genuine. I thought for a moment. "Recognize my value before I had to go searching for it," I replied. "Loyalty has to go both ways, Ms. Winters." Clearwater expected unwavering commitment, but continually demonstrated that I wasn't worth investing in. "That's not sustainable." Elaine nodded slowly. "A fair assessment." She stood and extended her hand. "Thank you for your candor. Whatever lies ahead, I wish you every success." "Thank you," I replied, shaking her hand. "I wish the same for your team." As I walked out of Clearwater for the second and final time, something in me felt lighter, unburdened. That meeting hadn't been about winning me back. It had been about letting me reclaim my story. I was leaving on my terms, with dignity, clarity, and my reputation intact. It was closure. And I hadn't realized how much I needed it. That Monday, I arrived at Hudson and Rowe's headquarters with a quiet excitement. This was a fresh beginning, a real one. I'd left behind the cramped cubicle I'd been stuck in for years, despite my seniority. Now, I had a proper office, with windows, a door, and space to breathe. Nathan had made sure everything was set up for my arrival, from a welcome basket on my desk to an organized tech setup. At 9 a.m. sharp, he stopped by to personally introduce me to the team. "Everyone, this is Rachel Monroe, our new Director of Client Strategy," he said. "She'll be leading the charge on all agency partnerships and client marketing operations." 5 bright, talented professionals sat around the table, my new team. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd once been denied a raise while handling a single account. Now, I was running the whole division. I had gone from managing a single high-stakes account to overseeing every one of Hudson and Rowe's external marketing partnerships, including, ironically, whoever would now be responsible for managing Clearwater Strategy Group. "Team, this is Rachel Monroe, our new Director of Client Strategy," Nathan announced during our morning meeting. "Many of you already know her from her outstanding work during our years with Clearwater." There were a few nods and smiles around the room. "We're fortunate to have her here." After introductions and a brief overview of team goals, Nathan asked me to join him in the executive conference room. Inside, several members of Hudson and Rowe's leadership team were already seated, laptops open, coffee cups in hand. "Before you fully dive into your role," Nathan said, "we'd like your input on an important matter." The CFO leaned forward. "Given recent developments, we're reevaluating our relationship with Clearwater Strategy Group. Their contract is due for renewal next month. Our team values your insight," added the CMO. "You've worked with them directly and know their capabilities better than anyone." I sat quietly for a moment, weighing what I could say. It would have been easy to recommend ending the partnership right then and there. A clean break. A quiet but definitive blow to Miranda's credibility. The chance for poetic justice was right in front of me. No one would have questioned it. But that wasn't who I was. Revenge might feel good in the moment, but professionalism would serve me far better in the long run. "I believe we should evaluate Clearwater as we would any other agency," I said carefully. "Their work has had strong moments, but consistency and leadership, especially on the account management side, will be critical going forward." They nodded, taking notes. Nothing more needed to be said. The decision came a few days later, finalized exactly 1 week after I'd been dismissed from Clearwater. The email went out at 11 a.m. sharp. Nathan had given me the courtesy of reviewing it beforehand, though I'd formally recused myself from the final decision to avoid any appearance of bias or impropriety. The message was professional and direct. After careful review of our strategic marketing needs, Hudson and Rowe has decided to transition our account to Meridian Creative, effective immediately. This decision supports our evolving brand direction and expanded digital goals. Rachel Monroe, our new Director of Client Strategy, will oversee the transition and serve as the point of contact. We thank Clearwater Strategy Group for their years of partnership and request all materials be transferred by end of day Friday. I could picture Miranda's reaction, first confusion, then the slow realization. She hadn't just lost me. She had lost Hudson and Rowe, a client representing nearly 30% of Clearwater's annual revenue. And I would be the one managing the transition. It was the perfect professional revenge, without lifting a finger to orchestrate it. I hadn't sabotaged anything. I hadn't badmouthed anyone. Clearwater had done it all on their own. That afternoon, I received a LinkedIn connection request from Jenna, Clearwater's receptionist. It was quickly followed by a private message. "The office is chaos. Miranda's been in meetings all day. 3 account managers have already updated their resumes. Karma works fast." I didn't reply immediately. There was no need to gloat or inject myself into Clearwater's unraveling. I stayed out of Clearwater's internal affairs. There was no satisfaction in watching things unravel. Instead, I poured my energy into building my new team at Hudson and Rowe, establishing systems that encouraged collaboration, accountability, and creativity. Success, after all, was the best kind of revenge. Later that evening, I accepted Jenna's connection request on LinkedIn. I sent a simple message: "Thank you for your kindness during my time at Clearwater. Wishing you all the best in the days ahead." Taking the high road felt unexpectedly good. No bitterness. No score to settle. Just peace. My new role brought challenges, certainly, but also opportunities one never would have encountered if I had stayed in that old cubicle, waiting for recognition that was never coming. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't something you plan or pursue. It's the quiet, powerful outcome of choosing to value yourself when others don't. Looking back 1 year later, I realized Miranda hadn't ruined my career. She'd redirected it. In trying to punish me, she had unwittingly given me the push I needed to rediscover my worth. In seeking justice, I found something far more meaningful: self-respect and the courage to step fully into the success I had always deserved.